Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, welcome. Kat Matlock here at Free Body, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about common causes of a reverse cervical curve or lost curve in your neck, and then simple things that you can do to reestablish your cervical curve. So this came up because I'm teaching this series for general upper body stuff with foam rolling and self-trigger point release and a little bit of strengthening, a little bit of movement. And I always ask my students, what do you need help with? And so it came up, a couple folks said, really need to strengthen my neck, or I have a lost cervical curve. I have a lot of neck pain, a lot of tension, some headaches. One has a little bit of numbness and tingling going down the arms. What can I do to fix that? I was like, oh, great, let's fix that. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about the 3 most common causes of a lost cervical curve, and the 3 steps that you need to take to fix it. So the 3 common causes of lost cervical curve. First one is text neck, looking down at your devices, or I could call it mom neck, looking down at the floor, picking up your kids, picking up this stuff all the time, and there's this drop, right? So our neck is meant to have a lordosis, or a curve that goes toward the front of the body, similar to the low back. Now, the low back curve is more dramatic than the neck curve. The neck curve has just a little bit of a lordosis. Too much of that happens often if you slouch a lot and are looking up, driving, whatever. If you round your shoulders a lot, and that feels terrible. That feels terrible, and we talked about that last week. So when we slouch, but then drop the head to text and do all the things, like, we're really reversing that cervical curve. And over time, too much tucking the chin, too much dropping can lead to this reversal of the cervical curve. So text neck, big thing. Reading in bed, all those kinds of things where you're just tucking a lot, having kids, right? The next main cause or common cause of loss of that cervical curve is a head or neck injury. And when you have a head or neck injury, the scalenes muscles on the front and sides of the neck are going to contract really strongly. Those scalenes muscles contract really strongly to stabilize the neck, to keep you from getting harmed. However, those scalenes get stuck on, and they continue to want to protect your neck far beyond the time when they should have let go. So the scalenes, 3 sets of them on either side of the neck, they can contract a lot and just pull, and it feels like your head is getting sucked down into your neck, and it feels maybe like your neck is just kind of disappearing because these muscles are pulling it down. It's terrible. And it can, if the anterior scalenes get really tight, which they do, and short and pull, they're going to tuck that chin a little bit. And how it feels is a lot of tension in the back of the neck. The muscles being pulled too long often are the ones that cry out, right? So you might feel it at base of the skull, whatever. Usually you know that you lost the cervical curve because your chiropractor or somebody has told you, has observed, like, oh, I see that this curvature is missing. So common cause, text neck, texting, looking down, picking up your kids, doing a lot, anything looking down all the time. Second common cause, head or neck injury, which activates the scalenes muscles. And the third one is stress. So stress. So here we are talking about that stress, which also activates the scalenes and creates a real, it keeps the scalenes muscles tense. How does stress keep the scalenes muscles tense? Well, when we breathe, when we're stressed out, we breathe up high. We go, oh no, oh, I'm worried, I'm scared. We breathe up high in the body, and the scalenes get activated because one of their jobs is to lift your rib cage up so that you can take a bigger and deeper breath. So again, the scalenes, but this time the scalenes causing that loss of cervical curve for a different reason. This time it's stress. Stress breathing, activating tension in the scalenes. So because they're trying to do their job, lift that rib cage up so that you can take a deeper and fuller breath. So 3 causes, common causes: texting, looking down, stress, injury. So that means, what do we have to do to fix it? Right now we know how that problem came. Well, the first thing is to breathe in your belly. Pretty much anytime you have anything going on in your body that is an injury or pain, or the very first thing you want to do is breathe in your belly. So when you breathe in the belly, you allow the scalenes muscles to soften, that you let them off duty, right? When during stress, they're trying to lift that rib cage so you can breathe if you have to run and get away. So bring the breath back down to the belly. Very first step. Okay, next step is that you want to stretch the front of the neck and open up the scalenes. So I'm going to show you first stretching the neck to open up those front tissues. If you're just doing this, you're not really anchoring the bottom of the tissue. So it's so much more effective if you actually take your hand. So I'm going to demonstrate. You can do this with me right now if you'd like to. Take your right hand and find your left collarbone and lay that right hand down along your left collarbone. Breathe in your belly. Take your left hand along that right hand, just kind of press that tissue down. That's going to anchor that tissue. And then you lift your head up and back, chin up and back, and off to the right. And these hands are anchoring the tissue. So you're starting to open up the fascia. You're starting to stretch those scalenes nicely a little bit. And you especially can get those front tissues open. And then you'd want to do the other side, laying your left hand along the right collarbone, anchoring down with that right hand, and then lifting the chin up and back. You can tilt your head a little bit to the left, and then play with, maybe a little more lift of the chin, reaching the chin. Play with, where do you feel your line of tension? Anchoring that bottom tissue is way more effective, makes it way more effective than not. So super good. Okay, the next thing you want to do is use a soft ball. This ball I have made because see how nice and squishy it is? You don't want to take a firm ball like a tennis ball and jam it into your neck to release your scalenes. Please don't do that. I have seen some other folks on YouTube doing some like really deep work with a firm ball. Definitely never a lacrosse ball. You want to be slow and careful. So using a very soft ball like this one, the ones that I have, the logo ball, so that you can get right in there. And so you can use a block at the wall and release the scalenes. We don't have quite enough time to do that whole practice today, but you can find it on my YouTube channel. You can find releasing the front and sides of the neck, releasing the scalenes with a soft ball. And we're also doing it in the upper body series that we're doing right now. You can join at any time if you like. freebodynow.com is how you get there. And then also on the website there, you'll find there's already an Unbind the Neck and Shoulders series, and that scalenes release is also in that series. So if you want to do the whole thing, you could do that. But please do use a soft ball in the scalenes. So that's step 2, right? The first step is breathe in the belly, ease the tension in the scalenes. Second step is stretch and then roll and do some self-trigger point release in those scalenes tissues as well. And then the last step is going to be strengthening the muscles in the back of your neck so that they will be activating to re-establish your cervical curve, right? So first we have to release what's pulling it out in the first place. Then we're able to actually strengthen. If you skip those earlier steps and just go right to the strengthening, you'll find, and maybe you have already found, that it doesn't really work. It's not 100% effective or really as effective as it could be because you skipped the belly part because you didn't know. It's not your fault. Nobody told you. Breathe into your belly first, then stretch and release the scalenes. Now those cervical muscles, the posterior cervicals, can work. So now I'm going to show you that short practice to build the strength in those posterior cervicals. So I'm going to put myself a little bit diagonally here. You're gonna clasp your hands and place them on the back of your head. And then you're gonna look up just about 45 degrees. So looking up just about 45 degrees. And the elbows can be pointing forward or out to the side, whatever works best for you. And then as you inhale, you push the head into the hands. And then as you exhale, just relax. Inhale, push the head and into the hands and the hands into the head. And then exhale, relax. We're going to do that one more time. Look up 45 degrees. That's the first step. Then as you inhale, push the head and the hands together. You can feel those muscles in the back of your neck firing up. And then exhale, release. And relax your arms. Roll your shoulders a little bit. Turn your head a little bit side to side. See how that feels. Okay. So just a quick recap. Reversed cervical curve means that you've somehow, either with posture or injury, lost a natural slight curve that we should have in our neck. Our necks are designed to have that little bit of a lordotic curve or a lordosis, just like the low back, but not as much as the low back, so that it's just the shapes of the bones. It's the way the bones are designed. If you lose that cervical curve, so that instead of having just like a nice soft curve, you either have lost it completely because there's maybe too much tuck in the chin or looking down all the time, or the scalenes kind of scrunching and drawing the neck down and kind of freezing the neck in a very rigid and uncomfortable position. So working with the scalenes tension is really key to be able to remedy this situation. So accidents can cause it, looking down over time, habitual posture can cause it, and just stress can cause it. So then to remedy, we do non-stress breathing, we do belly breathing, we stretch the front and sides of the neck, anchoring that tissue down. Using a ball in the scalenes, a soft ball, please. Soft, squishy, little air-filled ball is going to be the best. And you use it with a block against the wall. And then strengthening the posterior cervicals so that now they have a chance to actually hold that neck in the curve that it was designed to have. So I sure hope that this was helpful. This came up in the series that I'm teaching through Free Body. So I thought maybe someone else might need some support with that, or could use some help with that. So there's some information about how to reestablish your cervical curve. If you're watching on YouTube, you could go ahead and hit the like button if this was helpful to you. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going live here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I take requests. You could always send a message. If you're on Facebook, hit like on the Free Body Facebook page so that you're always alerted when I'm going live on Tuesdays. And still not too late to sign up to join us with the upper body series. We got a lower body series starting in March. All that information's on the website, and there's even a class that's already pre-recorded about unbinding neck and shoulders. You can find that there too. freebodynow.com. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.